Hello, everybody. It's Rick. It is the 30th day of December 2019. My email is rick0327@me.com. If you'd like to receive my paperwork in exchange for a gift, please send the email to rick0327@me.com for child support issues only. Okay. Title 4D child support. Okay, I don't really handle child support with divorce agreements. With divorce, that's usually what you want to do with a divorce is you just want to stay out of the child support court. You want to go back to the court that recorded the divorce, because that's the court that issued it, recorded it, and it's their duty to enforce their own agreements. Okay, their own orders. So a divorce order has to be enforced by that court. You don't want to go to the child support court, because what they do is they'll crap all over it. And then once you're in another court, other courts don't like to interfere. One court doesn't go against the other court. It happened to me. It was a nightmare. So stay out of if you receive something in the mail that you got to go to a child support court. That's not the court that recorded your divorce. Don't go. Go to the court where your divorce was recorded and file an enforcement. Okay, to say you want to enforce a stipulation, a settlement agreement. I'm pretty sure that all of you have had. If you're one of these people who have a divorce, you have a stipulation, a settlement agreement. Okay. Usually the stuff that's in the stipulation, the settlement agreement, are things that they claim you have to do, but not by law. That's another scam. It's just a scam, for the state to get what they want, hopefully to piss you guys off. See, the more things that you guys are bound by in a contract, is the more possibility you're going to get pissed at each other, and you're going to end up back in court. And guess who gets to represent you guys again? The lawyers. Okay, so the lawyers are in on the scam. They usually write it up where there's a strong possibility you guys will be back in court again. That's what it's all about. These lawyers are wonderful people, if you want to call them people. Okay. All right. So my last video I talked about it's the duty of the courts to be watchful for constitutional rights. All right. So that means that here's the thing. All right. A judge. Fake judge. Now, before a fake judge, you're going through an administrative process, and you should be demanding to see proof that you must be there. Because for an administrative process, when did you sign, express your consent for some type of service or benefit? Okay, a good example administrative is your driver's license. Okay, when you go to these, tickets for those are administrative hearings. Okay, and the judges are just vehicle traffic judges. That's all they really are. They're administrative judges. So when you sign that driver's license, no one told you this. They're not going to tell you this. See, when you sign that driver's license, you're receiving a privilege from the state, and then what you're doing is you're waiving your rights, unless, of course, in the future, always sign UCC 1-308, all rights reserved. That's all you got to say. I mean, some people say a bunch of other stuff. If you just, as long as you do that, you're covered. Okay, just put down all rights reserved, because that's UCC protects your rights under the Constitution. Also protects you from any unknown contractual obligations that you were not privy to, that they did not show you. Okay, see, what they should have done was saying, oh, by the way, when you sign this driver's license, you don't have the entitlement of a jury trial. Oh, by the way, we can set cameras up and film you and send you in the mail a ticket claiming that you're speeding. You understand? whenever you sign some type of a license, marriage license, then you're bound by the domestic laws of your state. Okay? Anytime you sign some type of an agreement, you're giving up your rights. They don't tell you this. I'm telling you this now. Okay? So, again, if you're before a fake judge, you're going to say, I don't consent. And it's my understanding that you're an agent for an agency. And all, the government is the government, what is the exact wording? Yeah, the exact wording is the rights of the individual are not derived from government agencies. In other words, you do not get your rights. In other words, you got, I thought my rights were, you got to be, no, these are my rights. I don't consent. And then you can, if you want to really be prepared, you show up there with a couple of case laws, like this one here. There's a lot of, you show up there with the Declaration of Independence, where the rights of the individual are not derived from government agencies, either municipal, state, or federal, or even from the Constitution. They exist inherently in every man. See, they love to say, all people are created equal. That sounds great on television and TV shows and movies, except when you go to court. When you go to court, there's a reason why they're sitting up high and you're down here, because they want to be looking down on you. It's all nothing but a mind F. Okay, that's really all it is, to intimidate you. But you have to remember, they're human. They have the same rights you have. Okay, and they're only there as an agent of the government. And here I'm showing you. All right, so the people's rights are not derived from the government, but the government's authority come from the people. See how they say the people, you don't see persons, right? The people. Try not to use the term people, okay? And just read this, okay? So let's talk about something here, the importance of understanding the difference between a state with a capital S and a state with a lower s. All right, this is very important. Here, this is the state defined under 42 USC section 666. I did a video about a year ago showing you guys how the state that they describe in their wording is really only federal territory. So that means that the child support is only enforceable in their federal territories: the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, Guam, America, Samoa. So what happened was, I was showing you guys on the Cornell website, and then they started messing around, and now this is what they're doing here. And I know this is about a year ago, a little longer. So it says the term state means each of the 50 states with a capital S. But it's deceiving. Okay, with the 50 states, so they claim to have a federal territory in every state. That's why they have federal courts. All right. Now, a state with a lower S is the territory. It's the state, the body, the land. All right, and in there, all state citizens are free citizens. They're constitutional citizens. And the government is bound, they're sanctioned and limited by a written constitution. Okay? So this is one of the case laws right here. So the term state in the United States implies lower. This is from the actual case law. Whatever a state with a capital S, they're describing a federal territory. Okay, or like a corporation, a federal corporation. So, but here is, now this is 42 USC section 1301. Now this is the definitions for the Social Security Act, also the Public Health and Welfare. So that includes the child support laws, okay, under 42 USC section 651 through 669 subsection B. Well, that includes everything that's happening, to us in child support court. Okay, the state plan for child support is under 42 USC 654 subsection 3. But here's the thing, it's only applicable in the federal territory, which is right here. You'll see the District of Columbia, the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, and Guam. Trust me when I tell you, it covers us. All right, so that means your state that's administering the state plan for child support under 654 subsection 3 has no jurisdiction. Okay? Okay, here. State child support agency is outside the federal jurisdiction of state, defined under 42 USC. Under 1301 A, subsection A1. That means they cannot administer a state plan under 42 USC section 654.3. Okay, so this is 654, state plan for child support enforcement. So right here under subsection 3, provide for the establishment or designation of a single and separate organizational unit, which meets such staffing and organizational requirements as the Secretary may by regulation prescribe within the state. Look, the state, here we go again. Okay? See what they're slick? They don't use the state as defined under 1301. Because they want everybody to think it's the states, the 50 states. It doesn't apply in the 50 states. It only applies under federal, was it right here? Okay, right here. Okay, it says it right here. Right. Here's other definition terms. Person means an individual. You don't want to be a person. You always want to object. Here's the thing. You don't want to be called an obligor. I talked about this in the last video, like obligor, a debtor, a person. Here's an easy way to even explain it to them. Say, excuse me, I'm presumed innocent. You cannot call me an obligor, a person, a debtor, a non-custodial parent because I'm presumed innocent. What evidence do you have that associates me with those terms? I'm a man, a woman, I'm a human. Okay? What they do is they change your status. That's how they get around all of this. They change your status. So, again, I mentioned in the last video, non-custodial parents, they don't have rights. Obligors don't have rights. If you look, as soon as you receive it in the mail, they're calling you an obligor. It's a conclusive presumption. Okay, due process, that's like them calling you guilty. Now, if you ever go to court and you want to sit and watch a trial or something, they cannot they'll call a defendant, but they can't call him or her guilty. When they're calling you an obligor, they're calling you guilty. That's what they're doing. Because it's already assumed you owe an obligation. You understand me? So when you're presumed guilty, they're only allowed to call you what you are. And what you are is a living human being, a man, a woman. Okay, if they want to call you, what I've been doing lately is if they're going to call you a defendant, they got to call you a defendant father. Okay, the reason why is fathers, the Constitution and the Supreme Court recognizes that fathers have constitutional right to the care, custody, and control of their offspring. That means that the government cannot interfere without your consent or without evidence of your offspring an imminent danger, like the showing abuse. That I think we could all acknowledge and agree that a child looks like they're being abused, they shouldn't be with a parent. Let's not. I get a lot of emails. I also know about the CPS stuff. I understand that they make up stuff. I get it, but let's just talk practical right now. That that's only we could maybe understand a government. It's like calling the police if somebody's getting injured or beat up. We recognize that's an okay time to call the government. All right, and that's an okay time for the government to intercede, is when somebody's facing imminent harm. Other than that, they cannot interfere. All right. So, you do not consent or be intimidated into waiving your rights by staying silent. You have to keep reminding the court of its duty to be watchful of your rights. And don't forget that they also took an oath of office. Okay? So, here's some definitions. All right? A Title 4D agency. Now, here's the thing. A Title 4D agency, there is no Title 4D agency if you live in a state. Okay? Right here. This is the Supreme Court case. Texas versus White. All right? So this would be good for you guys to copy this. In the Constitution, the term state, lower s, most frequently expresses the combined idea, just notice, of people, no persons. You see there's no persons, territory, and government. A state in the ordinary sense of the Constitution is a political community of free citizens occupying a territory of defined boundaries. Okay, I believe I mentioned this in the last video. Defined boundaries. So we all know that you reach the end of your state, there's going to be, you're crossing into another state. Like, I remember traveling from Georgia going into Alabama. You are now leaving Georgia, you're coming into Atlanta. New York, you're going from New York to New Jersey. Connecticut. Okay, Canada. Those are defined boundaries. Okay? And organized under a government, now here's the key, sanctioned and limited, meaning they can only act under a written constitution. Anything that's, contradictory to a written constitution is unlawful, unconstitutional, okay? And you don't have to follow it. You have to object. And established by the consent of the governed. That's you. They need your consent. This is not me. This is the Supreme Court. So, those of you that, want to go to court prepared, bring this with you. Okay, remember, a judge and a fake judge, they're agents of the state, of the government. Okay, and that means they require your consent. Here's another thing I'll show you. Right here. I think I showed you this in the last video, but let's go over it again. All right, repetition, repetition, repetition. Okay, obtaining personal jurisdiction. Typically, for a court to have personal jurisdiction over a defendant, the plaintiff needs to serve the defendant. Remember I talked about this, I think in the last video, in the state in which the court sits, and the defendant needs to voluntarily appear. This is not me saying this. This is the Cornell Law School, a very reputable law school. A college, excuse me. Okay? So that's why they are always scaring you. They always got you on the defensive. They want you to be afraid of them. They want you to ask them for permission when they need your permission. How do they need your permission? Well, right here it says voluntarily appear. Consent. Voluntarily is another really another word for is consent. All right, let me see something here. Here we go. Tools. No, of course not. Let me see something here. Oh, here we go. 1 second. Here, using the thesaurus, voluntarily means willingly. So you willingly, another word I was looking to see, consent. Let me see. Consent. All right, agreement, right? Permission, approval, say so, blessing, sanction, right? So here we go. Under a government sanctioned, right? In other words, the government consented and limited by a written constitution. All right? So here we got the words permission, agreement, agree, permit, allow, sanction, endorse, give permission, give the go ahead. Okay? So I'm showing you right there. Voluntary. So again, we just, I showed you guys how they require you to voluntarily appear for them to get personal jurisdiction over you. So that's another, they need your consent. Sorry about that. Okay, so remember I showed you guys presumption of innocence. All right, so the presumption of innocence till proven guilty is an example of the implementation of this principle of consent. Okay, so presumption of innocence is principle of consent as the foundation of legal justice within American jurisprudence. Okay. All right, so to presume that someone is innocent till proven guilty is to presume that you need to demonstrate their consent to a specific legal status. Remember, I talked to you guys before about obligor, right? Right here, they're talking about, for instance, under the above provision, innocent till proven guilty, you are presumed to be a non-resident, right? Non-resident is listed in the Uniform Interstate Family Support Act. Now, when I saw that word, I knew right away that something's going on here, okay? And I did videos on it, but like they're using, the word non-resident. That's it. All right, that's a tell right there that that's a word game, right? Non-resident, you presume to be a non-resident, non-person, okay, and therefore innocent in relationship to the government, unless and until the government proves you consented to waive your sovereign immunity. I mean, don't even raise that in court right now unless you're really good at this stuff, because if you say anything that is remotely, any word that implies that you're some type of sovereign citizen, the courts right now, they're so out of control right now that I've had people have their cases dismissed because some judge goes, "Well, you're a sovereign citizen," and that's, to me, that's sovereign citizen does not make you. Well, what they term a sovereign citizen is like a conspiracy theorist. You're automatically deemed crazy or some type of a domestic terrorist, as it's called in the Department of Justice website, which is really messed up. Okay, because there is a shitload of case laws out there that say we are sovereign. Okay, I tried to sue the state one time and some state employees, and you know what they told me? They're sovereign. So they're sovereign, but I'm not sovereign. Okay, so I would stay away from anything with sovereign citizens. So, but I'm just reading from here. Okay. But again, this is just to show you that if you're presumed innocent, you cannot be called anything else. Okay, don't let them call you non-custodial parent, obligor, debtor. And if they're going to call you an obligor or a debtor, you show me where I express my consent to contract with you. Here's another thing that they do. And somebody just sent me a response from the court where this judge was like, well, the plaintiff alleges that the child support is contract law and requires his consent, and it's a duty of law, which is bullshit also. You know what duty is? Duty is another word. It is a obligation. So they just play word games. Okay? They just play word games. I don't know what the hell I just did there, but I hit something by accident. I apologize. So they play these word games, and you got to be careful. That's what they do. See, they take these, they get training. They're well aware of people like us. They'll call us sovereign citizens because they know people coming in there prepared. So when you say this, their response is to say that. See, they know you. They know that they need your consent. So they'll tell you, no, it's the law. Well, then you're going to say, well, what is the law? Let me see the law. Okay, where is the proof that I broke the law? Where's the proof that I hurt somebody? Where's the proof that I injured somebody? Okay, we went over this last video, that there has to be an injury in fact. Okay, there has to be some type of injury. So I used to say this in my older videos. I used to say, okay, if it's the law, you show me proof that I broke the law. The only way you can break the law is show the evidence that you injured somebody. Okay, but no matter what, they need some type of evidence. So where's the evidence that you are not supporting your offspring? See, here's the way it's supposed to work. The plaintiff or petitioner is supposed to go to court. Now, and again, I'm repeating myself. I have to repeat myself because I make videos and I have to keep repeating myself and repetition. You guys will get it. So the plaintiff has the burden of proof of standing. Okay? Here we go. Standing. The threshold concern for all federal courts is the presence or absence of constitutional standing. Okay? And this is the case of Lujan versus Wildlife. And what they require is an injury in fact. Okay? Here it is. Must comprise an actual injury that can be redressed. In other words, all right, so he or she, plaintiff, showed an injury, but can the court fix it? It depends on what the injury is. Okay? Now, if the injury is some type of a medical bill, all right, then the court can redress it. Say, all right, then you got to pay the medical bill. Okay? But it can't be some type of a conjectural thing like child support. All right? How can it be redressed? Well, you got to pay child support. I am paying support. I am supporting. See, there's different forms of support. It's not just monetarily. They want it to be monetary because that's how they make their money. They get a percentage for all the money they seize. Okay? So they put a monetary value. Also, it's easy for them to put a monetary value by saying, all right, you make this much money, you should have been paying this percentage. All right, let's go back 10 years from now. All right, you owe us $100,000. That's what they do. And that's not legal or lawful because they can't prove it. How can they put a monetary value on what it takes for the care, custody, and control of a child or children? Okay? But now I'm starting to get a little complicated here. Just where is the proof that I injured somebody? Okay? If you're telling me it's a law, I have a duty, show me that I'm not supporting my child. So again, you don't have the burden of proving your innocence. You have the plaintiff does, the petitioner. Now, sadly, if you're paying attention to what's going on in our country right now, which is scary for us, because if they can do this to the president, they can do it to all of us. Now, I'm a Trump supporter, okay, and I kind of follow what's going on. They're completely obliterating his civil rights, and he's the president. Okay, he's got the media against him. He's got Democrats against him. Democrats who most of them just happen to be lawyers, so they know how to like screw with the system. Okay, they're using this thing called lawfare, which really is warfare. It's there's a website. It's a philosophy by these lawyers that tend to act a little like the communists. I know they are, but they kind of act like they're communists because they're using the law as a weapon. You're not supposed to use the law as a weapon. The law is supposed to be used to protect people and to get justice, really. Okay? See, the government is not supposed to really protect you unless you ask them for protection. Here, I'll give you a great example. Let's say your house was burglarized. You think you could sue the police department and say you should have protected my dwelling? No, they're going to say it's not our duty to protect your property. That's why you have to call them, or trying to sue the fire department. You can't do it. The government's not there for that. Okay, I'm just giving you like an example in law. Okay, so again, like, or let's say you got assaulted on the street, you can't sue the police department for like, well, where were you? They're gonna say, well, it was, we're not here to protect you. Okay, that's what they're gonna say. Trust me, there's plenty of people tried suing. So, all right, so we've gone on a little bit in this video. All right. Here, child support enforcement is misrepresented as law, but it's really a contract. That's the reason they use terms like obligor, debtor, default judgment. Okay, a default judgment is when you default on a loan, on some type of a repayment. Okay, in return for something. Okay, they use all contractual terms. I showed you guys in a past video where the definition of support enforcement is an express or implied contractual fee-based relationship between you and I think in the government. I forget. I should have it memorized, but I don't. But I'm just showing you that there's some type of a contractual relationship that requires consent, expressed consent. In order for you to express consent, you have to know what you're consenting to. Okay? So do you recall doing that to become a support obligation? No, they don't tell you these things. But it's a contractual term, just trust me. So when I put in the paperwork, it's a contractual, the response from the judge was, well, it's not a contractual thing. This is, again, I'm showing you, whenever their response says it's a law. And then your response, because they're going to play that game where you say one thing, they're going to say another. So I'm going to say to you when they say, yeah, but you have a duty under the law. And then you're going to say, okay, where's the evidence that I broke the law? Where's the evidence that I hurt somebody, injured somebody? Where? Where is it? You understand? And then they're going to say, you show me the evidence where I'm not supporting my child. There was a case, I think it was in Minnesota like 2 or 3 years ago. And a guy, God bless the guy, he didn't give up. He fought for like 10 years. And finally he won the case because the court could not demonstrate that he did not support his child or children. If the children show up to court and they are fine, how you know you're not supporting them? All you have to do is give emotional support. You just have to be the father. Maybe you're taking them to school. Maybe you're picking them up after school. You know, you're doing a lot of things. See, both parents have an obligation for the care, custody, control of their children or offspring. You understand? So if they're fine, how can you blame that on him? If they're fine, I mean, are you going to blame that the kids are fine on somebody? Okay, that's what happened. They couldn't prove that he was not supporting his children, and he wanted to win in the case. All right, so 35 minutes is a long time. I'm sorry, guys. You know, covered a lot of stuff. If you want to reach me, my email is rick, RICK, 0327 @me.com. Okay, guys, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.